and good afternoon. And to say my next guest that's coming in on Festival of the Unexplained is the amazing international world-renowned medium, Mr. Barrie John.
Thank you very much. I was wondering who was going to turn up then, Gary. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And just what a pleasure. What a pleasure. It's not very quiet. Not very often I feel, oh, where do we go? Where do we lead into this with an interview and all that? But thank you for your time and thank you for supporting an amazing cause.
Well, I mean, it's certainly something that's very close to my heart. People that probably do and don't know me, you know, I support a lot of charities out there and I'm very actively involved. And for anybody who doesn't know, you know, I'm vice chair of Knox LGBT. I'm a mentor and a counsellor for Terence Higgins Trust. You know, I run wellbeing events. I'm a director of Pure Spirit Events Market. And the nice thing is, you know what, we do all this to exactly cover what you're doing, you know, in terms of getting people protected and safe again, really, and looking after them. And I think that's a fantastic thing, what you're all doing. And well done to everybody who's joining you as well.
Oh, just thanks for your support. And again, the team that's been working in and around us and people that's watching, that's what we're here for. And it's so nice just to give a bit of our time back. And again, it's just an amazing course as well. If we can help one person, that's fantastic. So I'll fire away with, I know, to introduce yourself, if people don't know you. Let's start from the beginning.
Well, going back many years, because obviously I'm nearly 50 now. I have to say that to everybody, and people don't think that, you know. I mean, I've been in the industry now for a long time. The last 20 years for me in terms of the public eye and media. But before that, I go way back. I mean, I want to go right back to childhood when I used to see things. I used to see visions outside the window. I used to get woken up by spirit, you know, and especially when there was significant circumstances about to happen in the family. So maybe we were about to lose an animal or a pet. And I used to get visitation from loved ones, you know, who used to come and go, I'm taking them, you know, and it was almost like their way of reassuring us that they were taking. But, you know, I was very lucky, really, because, you know, I come from a mediumistic family. My mum was mediumistic, my grandmother, so on, all the way down my mother's line. So have I ever... I suppose it's a weird question because people know that I'm scared of the dark. But I suppose one of the things I want to say is, you know, did it ever scare me in terms of mediumship? Well, no, because I always knew there was a greater source there, something that we could all tap into as and when we wanted to. And that's the one thing I'd say to anybody, you can tap into it at any time. So, you know, it's took me on many pathways. You know, I remember... you know, being with my grandmother when I was probably somewhere around 7 or 8 years of age and getting hit by lightning and it's spinning me around. And I always believed that the spirit world saved me. You know, looking back, they saved me. And maybe that was the point where I was to recognize my ability. I don't know, because it's so long ago. It's weird. But I mean, gosh, even at being the age of 5 and 6, I used to feel hands on my shoulders as though people were stood behind me all the time. You know, and it was phenomenal. It really was. And it's moved me through so many areas. I mean, what do I say? You know, I mean, I've traveled all over the world. I've done some ghost hunts at some of the most tremendous places, not only in the UK, but overseas as well. You know, and I've got to say, you know what, I'm humbled all the time by people that I meet, people that I can help, you know, and that was the one thing I always set out to do with what I did, was to help and support people. It's not for me in any way, it's to support others.
And it does seem to be an amazing roller coaster ride within and around spirits and the spirit world as well. And touching on things like, I did have a near-death experience when I was 7. I had salmonella food poisoning, and for 2 weeks they thought it was an appendix waiting to burst. So prior to that, I had a second opinion, got rushed into hospital. And I always remember waking up with a very high temperature, about 1977, something like that. And I remember about 30, 40 fans around me keeping my temperature down. And I think I virtually had every fan around me in the world. But they said, Gary, you did not wake up when you was unconscious for 2 weeks. And I was like, I did. I woke up. and that always stands with me. So to me, I feel like that is the coming back experience from getting back with it. But, you know, my parents were at my side all the time and they said, Gary, you did not open your eyes for nearly a month. It's just that experience. Just heightened everything.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think some of the experiences we go through in life do make us stronger, but we don't see it at that moment in time. You know, especially when we lose people. We were just talking before we come on air about grieving. Everybody handles grieving in a different way. You know, some people it might come out within the first few weeks. Some people it takes months. I know on personal circumstances for me, it took me nearly 6 months to grieve, you know, and that was a very personal basis where, you know, it takes you a long time. And I remember somebody once saying to me, you know what, surely with what you do, it makes it easier when you lose people. And I said, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make it any easier, because what you miss is the physical. You miss the person being sat there in front of you and having a physical chat, whereas you haven't got that. You know, that's the hardest problem with it. And that's where I think we are all individuals seeking a very difficult time, really, especially at this moment in time as well.
Because what we tend to do about the physical, it's like, even though you know the loved one's gone, it's like, oh, I'll pop over and I'll go and see that person this afternoon. You're like, oh, they've been gone 4 months. So you're into that routine of that being around for how many years we've been on this plane as well. Can you give us any strange experiences that you've had as well? So obviously from a youngster as well, where you've had hands on your shoulders and all that as well. And I was always told, I think now, looking back at it from a guy, don't hide under your bed sheets. If you've watched a scary movie and you've gone to bed as a youngster, it's like, no, come on, you're braver than that. And I'm like, right, okay. So I always had that type of.
Well, I always had the fab ability of scaring myself half to death when I was younger. You know, I was one of these that I had a brother and a sister who used to turn the lights off and things like that. And it used to petrify me, you know, to start off with. But, you know, certainly when we go back, I can remember feeling presence, feeling hands on shoulders, bedclothes moving. You know, even my grandmother, when she came to visit, when she passed, I remember I physically got up and moved things off the bed so she could sit and talk to me, you know. And it sounds weird when you're saying it to people, because some people laugh, you know, people go, what, really? And you go, yeah, you know, she came to visit. And it's bizarre, really, because over the time, you know, even before I get any clients come to see me or before I pick up the phone to clients, 9 out of 10 times I've already got a link to them. You know, there's always that link there of going, yeah, I know they're there. Yeah, I know what they want. And, you know, you'd be amazed at when I was seeing people at my home, you know, where they used to come to the door and I'd open the door and I go, your dad's waiting. And they go, how do you know that? Well, because he's been waiting for you to turn up, you know. And that's how it happens sometimes, you know. And I think with people that everybody needs that element of guidance at some moment in the time. And I think if we can give them that, absolutely great, you know. And I mean, I remember doing a ghost hunt at the Galleries of Justice once, coming home to my old house, not where I am now, but my old house. And I remember putting the kettle on, and literally it just wouldn't stop boiling. You know, it'd turn off, I'd go upstairs, it'd turn back on, I'd come down, it'd turn off, went back up. And it was almost as though somebody was teasing me in a way. And in the end, I actually took it off the stand and put it on the side. You know, but lots of silly things like that, really, where, you know, spirit have appeared to me. You know, I remember when I was leaving the last house and one of my very good friends helped me move, and she says, look at them all, they're all waving goodbye to you. And I thought, I'm not surprised after all the years I've been there. You know, but you also think that when you move to a newer property, there's nothing there. And I've got to say, where I am now is probably more active than the older house that I had, because it's built on an old army camp.
Well, the lie of the land always brings that activity in and around as well. Yeah. Touching back on the Galleries of Justice, I do remember going there, and we were in the courtroom up on the balcony. Yeah. And I said, "Did you just hear that?" And you could hear the hammer going down, like, you know, start proceedings or closing the proceedings and all that. And somebody, no. And then about a week later, somebody had gone through their EVPs, and you could hear it as clear as day, but it was so loud. But when you're receiving that spiritually, we don't hear it from our ears, do we? It's just, you know, that's going on. And even going round to some of the cells where the washroom was, I think where they would the prisoners, and they'd wash the prisoners in like the old stone bath and all that. I always found that was quite eerie, going into a couple of them back cells round the back.
Well, the galleries will always be very close to my heart, because I used to run all their events for them many, many years ago. And ever since, I've always hired it for my own events and been there as guest medium. And you know, there was times where I remember I used to have to lock up, and, you know, I used to have to go right down to the bottom and make sure everybody was out, and, you know, all the rest of the team were in the courtroom, and they used to laugh because as I used to come running up, I used to be shouting my head off so I couldn't hear anything. You know, and it's one of those venues that will always be very close. And I know it's been done a lot. It's really been done a lot in terms of ghost hunting, but it will always be one of my most favourite venues. You know, I've had some very, very, very good things happen there. I remember being in the night cell with a group of people and saying, oh, you know, somebody's with me and that they're going to remove somebody's bracelet. And lo and behold, within seconds, you heard this woman's bracelet click on the floor. And she says, my bracelet's just dropped off. And it was like, yeah, but that's what they do. You know, that's how they play around with things, you know, and weird experiences in that place, I have to say, especially up in the courtrooms as well, and in the grand jury room, etc., which, you know, would be rooms that you probably wouldn't think there'd be a lot happening upstairs. But yeah, some tremendous stuff really is. And as I say, it'll always hold a place close to my heart because I've done so many events there.
Even in the hub as well, as you say, I find it when you're walking through the museum part, and they've got all the little things to sell there as well. Just even walking around there is quite eerie. I'm going to ask about, which I thought was really amazing, and I just thought this was your path straight away. When you were a youngster, as a teenager, you had tarot cards.
I did, yeah. Well, I mean, again, massive fascination with it, with all the metaphysical from being a child. You know, I used to watch programs like the Egyptians, you know, the Titanic, anything like that, because it fascinated me so much. And then I remember getting my first set of cards. I can't remember now. I was about 10, 12, something like that, you know, and I used to just play with them, just used to practice them. I mean, my grandmother used to read playing cards, just a normal set of playing cards. You know, and when I started playing with the tarot, it was almost as though people would look at me and go, how do you know that? And I go, I don't know. I've no idea. It's just what it tells me about you. And it's like, right, okay. And that's where probably in a way, let me say I stopped playing with it and taking it more serious and thinking, actually, there's a lot more to this. And, you know, as teenagers, we all played with Ouija boards. You know, we dabbled with them. We had an experience with them. And, you know, that's what tended to happen, really, you know, but it's been great. It's been great watching it for myself, how I've moved on. And, excuse me, even now, I'm still shocked at how long I've been doing it when I talk to people. You know, 30 odd years for me is nothing, you know. I mean, as I say, the last 20 odd years in terms of TV, media, radio, magazines, you name it. I mean, I've been a columnist for the last sort of 15 odd years. And it's something I just do, you know, because I love sharing my knowledge. I really do.
I love our Anna at Chat It's Fate as well, and I always have a little look at your columns there, so I do keep on top of that as well. I'm just trying to think there. It's just where are we going now? Sorry, just getting somebody coming in there. Right, let me think. Tell me about how do you describe to people with your development classes as well? Can you tell me any more around your development classes as well? I know things have been slowed down with the current situation. Are you doing interactive development classes now or anything like that?
Yeah. We continued doing Zoom classes. We stopped it just before Christmas, so we're due to pick up another one. I think we've said February time, actually, well, next month. But we carried on doing it. But I mean, I love doing development classes because the look on people's face when they start realizing that actually they can do it is the best thing in the world. And, you know, I give up so much time to people if I can help them develop that ability, because we all have been through it where it took us so long to find somebody to more or less help us really to develop. But, you know, I get people of all calibers. You know, I get younger people, I get older people, I get, you know, everyone, people who don't even believe in it that come along and then go, I can do this. You know, what is it I'm getting? And I think it's a lot about people just having somebody to talk to that actually understands a lot of the time, because normal people, and we hear it all too often, you know, if they go to a religious church or anything like that, or you shouldn't be doing that, you know, why are you doing this? You know, and it's almost that demonic side, what people seem to get hooked on for me. Whereas I've never really done that side of things. You know, it's there, but it's never bothered me. So I'll always support people with classes. But yeah, we've got a new class starts in February time.
Excellent. We'll share all that later on with any links. I'm sure our team will get onto that later on as well. Question there from Kelly Kennedy is, what was your first experience that you realised you had the gift?
Nice question, Kelly. Thank you very much. I would have to say probably See, it's very hard for me because, as I say, I've always grown up with it. I've always seen things out the window when I was a child. But the biggest experience for me would be when my grandmother had died, and we were about to put one of our dogs to sleep the next day. And we didn't know that at the time. But I remember her coming. I remember waking up in the night, hearing music. It wasn't unknown for me to leave the music on in the night, but I looked, it was turned off, went back to sleep, woke up, heard the music, looked again. And the only way to say it, it was a bit like a movie scene, really, where all I saw was a wall of white light. And the only person I recognised was my grandma walking forward to go, actually, you know what, it's me, I'm here, look. And then, unfortunately, the next day we had to put one of our beloved family pets to sleep. And that would be the first proper experience. I would say I thought, actually, there's something else here. I mean, before that, we'd played with cards, we'd played with Ouija boards. I remember me and some friends were playing with Ouija boards, and something happened and we all ran out of the room and ran down the street because we were scared to death. And now I use them on a daily basis. But you know, that would probably been my first experience, Kelly. It really would.
Excellent, and thank you for the answer as well. Just trying to think there. Do you think that sometimes spirits can slow you down? As your team can slow you down when you're like overdoing it with receiving from spirits and keeping your energy levels up? Do you feel that sometimes they can slow you down for a reason?
I think I wouldn't say they slow me down. I know spirits sometimes have a tendency of stepping back because they know how moody I can be because I'm a typical Aries. But I think sometimes they'll, somebody once said to me, spirits send you to bed with no supper. And it was their way of basically telling me off for not paying attention to them. And I get that all the time with them because, you know, as I say, I'm an Aries and I can ignore spirit when I want to. And they must think, here he goes again. He's ignoring us, right? Let's not play the game, you know. And I said to you again before we come on air, you know, when I lost my mum nearly 20 years ago, I turned away from my whole belief of the spirit world because I just thought to allow somebody to suffer so much, surely that's not what I believe in, you know. And that was one of the things where I did tell them off, you know, and I did spit my dummy out a little bit. But as I mentioned, you know, within an hour of my mum passing, she was back at my side. She was talking to me as though, you know what, look, you've done the best thing, you know, everything's all right. So I think it's a really strange situation, really, you know, where we can walk away from it at times, but I think there's always a reason for it.
Okay, amazing. SJ's just asked a question there. Obviously, when she closes her eyes, she sees a lot of spirits basically in her face, basically when she's closing her eyes. Do you think it's her brain making these faces or giving her this gift of emerging that she's coming on a little bit?
Right. Okay. Interesting one, SJ, because I mean, first of all, I always say to people, I'm not there at the time, so I don't know what you're experiencing, but you know, I know the way it works with me, and that's exactly how it works with me, you know, but all I do is I don't close my eyes. I almost have this double impact vision where I can view two things at the same time. What I would say to you is, if you feel as though it's you developing, ask them questions, see if they're going to communicate with you. If they start giving you a response, then you know that you've got a form of spirit communication. If it is just things where it's actually your imagination that's playing games, and you must remember there's a very fine line between imagination and mediumship, because when we're on a ghost hunt, we can create so much in our own minds that actually isn't there at all. It's the fact that somebody's put that thought into you. You're almost been preconceived with it. So all I would say to you, SJ, is, you know, go and sit. I don't talk to people about meditation because I always agree with what Colin used to say to me. Colin used to say it's as much use as a chocolate fire garden. It is, because that doesn't bring in spirit. All meditation does is give you a period of relaxation or calmness. I always say, go and sit, go and daydream. Just let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. If it goes to you being in a favorite holiday destination, sat in your car, driving along, whatever, let your mind wander and just say, right, if somebody's there, come and give me a sign, let me know. And you will feel it, you know, you'll feel presence, touch, movement, breath, hair movement, all those sort of things. But I always say, be very specific with them. Remember that they were living people, so they know exactly what you're saying to them. These aren't people that developed in another language of some kind. They're normal people, you know, they were here at one time, and you must be specific with them. And that's what always makes me laugh on events, on ghost hunts, where somebody will go, is there anybody there? And I always think, now ask them what you want them to do, you know, tell them the rest of it. You know, this is somebody who's, you know, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because we do talk of spirit having intelligence, and we know they are, because they can communicate. There must be something a lot greater than us, and probably something that we'll never realize until we actually cross over. So all I would say to you, SJ, make a drink, go and sit in your favorite chair, put on your favorite piece of music. Doesn't have to be spiritual music. It could be rock music, whatever it is. So long as it takes you away and it lets you close your mind to the everyday world, go with it, all right, and just enjoy it. But I think you're probably developing your ability and not realizing it.
I certainly think that as well. And sometimes when people go out and they go on the invest or the round of the medium, then their team and their guides will nudge them in the right direction to say, do you want a little taste of it yourself? We'll give you a little bit more. And I always find over the years, your guides and your team will give you more that you can deal with. The better you deal with it, like I've had a few possessions over the past, which was quite shocking. You know, you're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes. And yeah, you've dealt with that, and then they'll move it into another direction of the segment to deal with and work with and understand as well. Have you ever had any experience where you thought, I don't really want to go into this room, I'm just getting diverted away from it, or anything like that that's gone on?
Yeah, you know, I mean, over the years, I mean, we've done something like 5,000 ghost hunts. I mean, remember, I stopped a few years ago because it was just getting too much. You know, I mean, we were doing 2 and 3 a week in some cases. And I've loved every one of them. I really, really have loved every one of them. You know, whenever you go to a new venue, for me as a medium, it's that initial impact of driving up to a place, stepping out your car and going, breath of fresh air, you know, oh my gosh, you know, what is this place going to tell me? And people don't realize that it actually, to us as mediums, tells us a story about it. You know, you start picking things up, you pick up the grief, you pick up the sadness, you pick up the happiness, you know, you pick every avenue of emotion up when you go into these venues. And I would never say I've walked into a place and thought I've got to get out. When I walk in, I think, actually, I really don't like this. You know, there's something here. But as an investigator, that makes me more aware and makes me want to delve into it. And, you know, one of the things I always say to people, I love paranormal investigation. I always will. I work with some of the top doctors, scientists in the UK in terms of universities, trying to prove what we do and that it is real, because you've got to remember there's still a big doubt of what we do out there. There's a very negative side to it. And I think what we've got to do, we've got to have that sort of scientific proof behind us now that shows us that something is real, something's happening. But I love it because I think as an investigator, as I've always said to people, I always describe myself as a skeptical medium. And that doesn't mean to say I don't believe. It means I want more. I want more and more and more.
We're still learning, aren't we? And leading into this question now from Jessica, basically, do you feel things as spirits like walking past you? Basically, you know, even if you're waiting for a bus or anything like that, you just pick up and you get that sense that there's somebody close in and around.
All the time. I mean, you know, Jess has asked a great question there, and I know Jess, and I know Dave, and I know Dave's asked another question that I'd love to pick up on after this, actually. But yeah, I mean, even when I'm out on a normal day-to-day basis, if I'm walking past somebody or whatever, you know, you'll always find that I can pick something up. And sometimes, I suppose the only way to say it is it's like somebody's thumped me in my chest and said, "Whoa, just a minute. You need just to take a minute here and think about it." But as I say to people, there's a time and a place for delivery of mediumship, because I wouldn't walk past somebody in the street and go, "Oh, by the way, your mum's with you," because you don't know what anybody's physical and mental state is like at that moment in time. You know, if somebody has just lost their mum, they could be grieving, and the last thing they want to hear is that. And that moves me on to another thing, really, what Jess has triggered really there is, I always say to people, there is a time for you to come and see a medium. There's a time for you to go and see a counsellor. I am not a counsellor when I'm doing mediumship. If you don't want to see me as a medium, I'll see you as a counsellor. But that's two totally, totally different things. I will never, ever, ever mix the two, because I know that I've done readings for people before, and I've got into that reading and I've had to stop and go, you don't need to see me. You need to deal with grief. Grief is something totally different to talking to a loved one in the spirit world. And I think that's really, really important to us there in terms of where we are. But as I say, Jess, there's a time and a place. I wouldn't walk into my local supermarket and start giving readings around the fruit and veg aisle, because somebody would probably come and collect me and take me away.
As you always say, it's always there is a time and a place, and it's nice to be open and honest, as to me good mediums are, and in and around things as well. With the spirit world, we just don't stop learning, and I've learned so much even just by the last few days as well. And is there any area where you think that you'd like to touch on? For myself, I'd love to do the psychic drawings. That just it blows me away. Where I just see that, it's just amazing. My drawings are sick, man.
I used to do portraits for a long time, and I love drawing. You know, and that's probably again what helped me develop. My view to anybody out there, and to you as well, Gary, is if you want to develop, talk to the spirit world. Trust me, they know you better than what any medium does. You know, and when people ask me that question, very often people come to me for almost like, you know, oh, can you tell me where I'm going? And I think, well, I can't, because I can only tell you what I see, but because I see it doesn't necessarily mean you want it. And I think the best thing to do is sit with the spirit world and go, guys, I'm here. What do you want me to do for you? How do you want me to work? How do you want me to deliver your messages for you? Is it drawing? Is it through trance? Is it through physical? Is it through, you know, normal clairvoyant mediumship? How do you want me to work? And I think that's something else just to jump on for everybody. There's a huge difference between a psychic and a medium. Always remember that, okay? A psychic will only give you a reading using a tool. They won't touch on any sort of proof of life after death in any way, okay? So you must always remember that. When people, I know sometimes we go out there and we call ourselves psychic medium, but it's almost as though you have to do because people don't understand it, okay? So, I mean, I always say that if you're going out to see a psychic, just remember that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a psychic reading. You're not going to get a mediumship reading. But for you, Gary, sit down, talk to the spirit world, sit in the power, let them develop you. Let them develop you.
Again, that is one area where I can do the automatic writing and stuff like that again. So I've had some amazing evidence even with the simplistic things, the automatic writing as well. Going on to Falstaff, have you ever been down to Falstaff?
I have. I know it very well. I know Janet down there and John down there. Yes, I know them very well. I love the building. I used to have pubs in the Cotswolds for a few years, not far from Falstaff's. And I loved it. I love the area, extremely active area. What's SJ asked? I've been on investigations with Gary, and I remember when we were at Falstaff's in the attic. Oh, tremendous. Lovely, lovely venue, Falstaff's is. It's one of the, how do I put it? One of the original sort of untouched venues. And I get very frustrated when I get told by people and by places, oh, this place is haunted. This is here. This is here. This is what we've seen. And I always say, is it really, or have you made that up? Because we know that so many venues have tagged on to this paranormal field now. And I always tell this story, and I will forever tell this story. I remember once, many, many years ago, ringing up a very well-known venue, talking to a lovely lady on the phone, and she says, oh, what would you like? And I said, well, I'd like to hire the venue for a ghost hunt. And the lady turned around to me and she says, I have worked here for 45 years. I have never seen a ghost in all my life. And that made me crack up for a start. All right. But that's one of the stories. But all I will say to you is, wherever you go, whatever venue, be sensible about it. You know, I know that there's people out there, and it always makes me laugh. You know, every venue you go to was always a demonic monk. And it just used to put me off totally, because it's just like, here we go again. And where are they? Oh, they're in the basement. Lo and behold, we've got a demonic monk in the basement or cellar. No, it doesn't work for me. Forget it. Okay. Can I just jump back very quickly to what Dave West asked one about? That explains why I fall asleep when I meditate.
Yes.
Just remember, meditation is a form of sleep state. Okay. The worst thing that will happen if you meditate is you'll fall asleep. All right. Nothing wrong with it. It doesn't leave you wide open. Trust me, you don't disappear for 2 or 3 weeks on end. You suddenly reappear. You know, the spirit world will come and talk to you again, and we will. You don't just disappear. And I remember, again, certain tutors over the years who used to say to me, never fall asleep when you're meditating. You'll disappear for 2 weeks. Whatever. All right. What a load of rubbish.
Excellent question. Thank you for that. Can we cover on some of the amazing people you've worked with, and can you tell us any fantastic stories, or really get onto things that you've not touched on before?
Do you know, I have had the greatest of pleasure working with, gosh, do you know what, I lose track. I mean, over the years, who can I mention? You know, Leslie Smith at Tutbury, Richard Felix, Derek Akora, Colin Fry, Tony Stockwell. you know, I've worked with some tremendous people, you know, and I've loved every minute of it, you know, and everybody is so nice. And even now, remember, you know, myself and Gwen are extremely good friends. Forget about what I do as a medium. We are very good friends, and we always will be very good friends, as Colin was, you know. And Colin asked me for many years to work with him on stage, and I used to refuse, because I used to say to him, I'm not good enough. And I'll be very honest, he set me up in the end, because Colin had come to Retford, which is not far from where I live. It's about half an hour from where I live. He rang me up and he said, oh, are you coming tonight? You coming to the show? I said, oh, yeah, I'm coming. This is all good. And and one comment he just said, he said, make sure you dress smart, you know. And I never thought anything of it, because I always dress smart. And when I turned up, you know, the box office said, oh, yeah, Colin's waiting for you in the dressing room. And I thought, oh, here we go. What's he got here? Went in to see him, and his first question to me was, do you want to do the first or second half? And I said to him, pardon the expression, I won't say it, you're taking the P now. And he says, oh, no, I'm not. He says, take your pick, first or second half. And that's how Colin set me up. And I'll be very honest, that was the point of when Colin told me that he got very severe cancer. And he asked me to do the remainder of his tour with him for near enough the last sort of year and a half. I've shared some tremendous times with Colin, some way too rude to tell you, and please don't send it down that route of rudeness. We've had some, I remember when we went to Benidorm, and Derek was there and Gwen actually, and I remember we went to a really nice little old backstreet bar, and we were sat there was a group of us, we were sat there singing musicals at the top of our head, and it was just tremendous. You know, Colin for me was one of the world's best friends that I could ever wish for. And we were friends for nearly 20 years.
That is amazing, and that's what you can't buy, isn't it? I do remember seeing Colin and Derek. I think it was in Stockport Theatre in Manchester, and it was just mind blowing how they were just linking into the audience and that as well. And we've certainly seen some amazing things again as you've worked with them. And my little secret is I always used to have my stash of chocolate, and you know, I always used to. Crunchies used to go to Derek and stuff like that as well, but it was always, don't tell Gwen. So I've let my little secret out now as well. So hopefully I don't get told off for that. I was always told as well, in and around things, like you mentioned Tony Stockwell there. A very good friend of mine is a medium. They come up and they went, you've got to meet Tony Stockwell. I went, right, okay, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I said, what for? And they went, just shake his hand. And I went, right, okay. And it's quite bizarre how certain things happen. And I'm like, what's all that about in and around the spirit world? When other people give you information, it's like, oh, wasn't expecting that. Do you get people coming up to you and giving you little things, and you're thinking, oh, which way do I take it?
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, I get a lot of strange messages on Facebook from people who try and give me a reading, really, you know, and I, don't get me wrong, I don't feel offended at all. But I always say to people, if you're going to read me, I'll make sure you read me. You know, don't give me a BS message. You've got to give me a proper message. You know, and this is where I get so frustrated with it over the years, when I've watched some up and coming mediums work, where I just think you need so much more time spending with you just to help you work, because, you know, they get taught by people who make it complicated in terms of what we do, and it is not complicated. At the end of the day, this is the touching of two minds. Communication is the touching of two minds. And that's how we develop it. Okay, there is nothing. Anybody who's worked with me on any courses or whatever, you know, I don't make mediumship hard in terms of learning it, because it is not hard. It's easy.
Even when we're out investigating, I always say the simplest things are the best. You know, even prior, just asking a question to your pendulum and something like that as well. You know, even before you go out on the night's investigation, I would safely say a question came to me last night out the blue. When we're going to an investigation, or you go into a location or something, that somebody pops in your car on the way down, and you're like, they won't leave you alone. And at some part of the investigation, that they seem to be like top of the bill, basically. And you're thinking, and where did you jump in from? Oh, you're the lights popping through Hereford and stuff like that as well. Do you get that type of scenario?
Yeah. Oh, very interesting that. And I'm just going to tell you a story now. I remember doing a theatre with Colin, and I can't remember which one it was now, but I remember driving down, and all I kept getting was this man going, my name's George Barber. My name's George Barber, all the way for nearly 2 hours. That's all this name that I got. And in the end, I thought, for God's sake, go away. And I remember I got on stage. The first thing come to my mind, this man, I can't remember the rest of the message, but I just said, right, I've got George Barber with me. He's driving me dad. He's somebody, you know, he's driving me mad. He's somebody's dad. This woman put her hand up and said, "That's my dad."
Wow.
And it was like, and it wasn't just that. There was more to it. You know, he told me bits about him, where he lived. And it was like, do you know what? I was just stumped, because this guy had followed me from the minute of leaving home to the minute of pulling up at a theatre and getting ready to go, do you know what? I've come all this way to talk to her. And I was just so impressed. That's how it works.
Again, it's just, you just can't buy that situation. Melanie Nash is asking, can you pick up on readings from objects with psychometry and stuff like that? You know,
absolutely, totally, yeah. I mean, I love psychometry. It's one of the things I teach whenever I'm doing group work, because it is so easy for people to do. You know, all you're doing is you're doing that mind shift, and you're connecting with an object that hopefully belongs to somebody. Now, if ever you attend one of my groups, you know that I play lots of tricks on you at times, because normally with psychometry, I'll either put it in an envelope or a box, and sometimes that box might be empty as well, remember. But I have some tremendous things that have been given to me. You know, I've used items. I've got some bits what Colin gave me. You know, I've got a cross. I've got various bits that Colin gave me that I do use for psychometry work. But I've got personal things as well. You know, I've got items of in my private sort of collection, my jewelry collection, etc., that was given to me by family members that, again, I use. But psychometry is wonderful. Tremendous way to start out with your mediumship, starting out on that psychic, moving into mediumship link. Even if you can't get mediumship, just work on a psychic link with it. You'll still get it with psychometry. It's an object. It's a tool.
Even as part of when I was going to certain development classes as well with amazing mediums, we'd put a photograph one week, say, right, bring a photograph next week, put it in an envelope, test yourself, pass it around the group, and you'd all share your envelopes and stuff like that. And it's amazing what you can see in your mind's eye and what your team's telling you about as well. So
I always get my guys to you know, bring envelopes, bring a picture in an envelope, whatever, and we just read it between the group or whatever. But also doing things like absent readings helps you develop as well. So pick somebody and ask them if you do an absent reading on them without them being there. It's the hardest thing in the world, but it's great experience. Sorry, Gary.
Oh, it's okay. Also, what I've touched in the past is, you know, I talk to other friends around who are like pagan and Wiccan and stuff like that. And if I'm going to an investigation, I'll just say, oh, wrap up when you go into this room and this, that, and the other. And I'll end up writing things down prior to them happening, and I'll put them in an envelope. I'll seal the envelope, I'll sign it, then I'll give it to the organizer or the event and say, give that to a member of the public and ask them to open it at the end of the night. And if there's an A4 size piece of paper and it's 2 pages, even if one spirit comes through on that is just, it's just mind blowing, and it just never stops opening my eyes, the intelligence of spirit.
Totally, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing that we don't always give them credit for. You know, I think a lot of people, when we go into rooms, especially on investigations, where they go, oh, it's dead in here, nothing's going to happen. And I always go, but you've not even given it time. You know, I remember the good old days of mediumship when we did ghost hunts, where, you know, we used to sit in rooms for hours and hours on end, waiting for that one little thing. And once we got that one little thing, it was like, wow, you know, we're really pleased. But you see, nowadays, what's happened is there's so much more equipment out there than what we used to have. And also phone apps, which, don't get me started on phone apps, because they do frustrate me. I have to be very, very honest. But there is so much equipment that the problem is we're losing the mediumship now, because all we're doing is walking around with an EMF meter and going, oh, well, my EMF's not going off. There's nothing here. And it doesn't work like that. You've got to have the two combined, you know. And what I like to do as a medium is pick things up and then say to people, right, now go into a room with an EMF meter or a K2. Let's see if we can almost get it on demand. You know, we can get it to happen and call the spirit in to come and have a chat with us.
Certainly. I know it's your hour now. Do you want to go into any readings, or do you want to carry on with the questions?
Well, I mean, if anybody does want to read, and if they just put a message in the chat room, you can do. I'm happy to do your reading. Just remember, doing the readings like this, it's very sort of absent reading, so I can't get your response because we won't have time.
It's just touching on what's in and around them as well, and what's being given to you by a team. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but always go with the flow. If anybody
does want to read in, just put a message in the chat, and I'll get Gary to pick you at random.
Jessica Bailey Smith was mentioning 30 East Drive. I have had a few objects thrown at me there, and basically when I was trying to sleep at about 4 o'clock in the morning, just get an hour's sleep. We'd done a 48-hour investigation. On the second night, I was the only one left there about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the team had gone, not because it was flat. I feel it had just driven a lot of others out to over-test you and analyse you. How have you found East Drive?
Well, we got asked to do East Drive by the BBC. We did a documentary for them on it. And luckily enough, Jessica and David come along and helped us out on that night. And I was there with Jane Harris as well. She was with us. We had a very weird night. We didn't really have enough time to properly investigate it. I have to be honest, we thought as though it was a bit flat while we was there. We was picking a few things up. I know Jess and David, they both stayed afterwards and got a lot of things afterwards in terms of what they were picking up. But one thing we did get, which we've still not been able to explain this, we took a potted plant with us because there's a story of a potted plant moving, and we took a potted plant and put it on the breakfast bar. And I remember we'd all gone outside to do a bit of intro talking and chatting. We come back in and the plant had moved from the breakfast bar onto the mantelpiece, but it wasn't stood up, it was laid on its side. And the interesting thing was, none of the soil had fell out of the plant, nothing. It was all still in place. And when we tried to move the soil, it was very loose. So you'd have expected it to have fallen out. But we were all outside recording at that time. So that's the one thing I can say, we still can't explain that.
As I've been there a few times myself, I remember a couple of little things. I remember in the next morning going, oh my God, it's really cold this morning. And there was a thermometer on top of the fireplace, just flew off like a thermometer, and it just flew off. And I was like, I can't believe that's just happened and we're all ready to go home. One thing that surprised me there as well is there was the old carriage clock on the windowsill in the front room, and the balls were moving at the bottom and the base like that. And I was filming it and I was going, is anybody else seeing this? And they were going, oh, it's not moving much. And I'm like, there's no batteries in the clock.
But you see, this is what people forget. Sometimes the paranormal experience that we have could be minimal, but we rule it out because we expect so much more. And this is what I'm finding with people when I do events, that they automatically expect to walk in a room and see the white lady walk across the room. And it doesn't happen like that. You know, it really doesn't. And I'd like people just to give it some time and go with it, really.
Just a little inbox there. Melanie Nash said, anything you see or picking up in and around her?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look for you. Okay, I'm going to use my angel cards for this because I use these all the time just lately. So let's do Melanie. I'm only going to pick you one card, Melanie. Okay, we're not going to go into it. Okay. I want to say to you, in terms of you at the moment, job card comes in music. Okay, situations around you can be a bit futile, but can I say to you, do not fire them up. Do not fuel them in terms of firing it. Okay. Watch for you where over the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks, I feel as though you're going to get a connection from someone to the past, maybe even a visitation from somebody from the past. And I'm talking somebody physical here, not a spirit world person, okay? Watch where there's a reconnection from the past. The next sort of 2 to 3 weeks. Talk to me about the middle of February time. I know there's a lady with me as I talk to you, and she talks to me about September being very significant as she comes in. I know that she has to link on your mother's line of the family. You feel as though she passed either with a heart attack condition or heart problems. Okay. So I'll leave that one with you, Melanie. You're very welcome.
As you were talking there, I could see a knock on the front door as well of somebody obviously opening times of what we haven't been able to see for a long time. So somebody out the blue there as well, hopefully tipping up as well. Where are we going there now?
Maureen.
Right. Okay. Let's see what we've got there. Angelique said anything in and around there. I have worked in and around Angelique as well, up in Yorkshire way as well.
Okay, well, let's have a look at Angelique then first. So Angelique, for you, I want to pick you. What do I want to pick you? Let's have a look. I'm picking you the body care card. Okay, you're very sensitive. You're very in tune with things. I want to say for you, over the next 4 to 6 months, your ability is flying through the roof here, okay? I think you're developing a lot faster than what you think. There's a gentleman from the spirit world who comes in, and as he does, all I can smell is this very heavy waft of tobacco smoke, very, very heavy tobacco smoke as he comes in. I know with you, there has to be a connection around the 12th, 13th of August, and I also want to take you to the month of April as well as I'm looking at this, okay? I've got to ask you that, well, I'm going to say this. I don't know if you understand where there is a tankard that somebody's had either in memory of somebody, or it was somebody's that was given to them that they're not here, but it's still here. It's got to be a tankard of some kind, okay? Because I just keep seeing it over and over again. All right, my darling, leave you with that one, Angelique.
Thank you very much. And let's see where we're going now. Gaynor. Oh, I missed that one. Sorry, Gaynor Hodgins, like a reading.
Let's have a look at lovely Gaynor. Gaynor. Picking a divine guidance for you, darling. Okay, you have a way of everything turning itself around when you're in the doo-doo. Okay, and I feel as though you're coming out of that period now. Okay, there's a lady in the spirit world that went way too quickly. She was either found at home already gone, or she had already gone when people got to her. She's talking to me that she knew it was over. Okay. Need to give you tulips, a lot of tulips from this lady. Now, I don't want to connect you with Amsterdam, but I feel as though with you, you expect to, you like your city breaks or something like this, okay? Because it's the way that she's coming in just to give me an impression of where she wants you to be or where she wants you to go. As I talk to her at the moment, I know around you at times you get very sort of choked up emotionally. And I feel as though you need to start speaking out on those emotions a little bit more, okay, my darling? So go with it. Don't let people stop you doing what you want to do. Don't know why I want to say that, but there you go. Good luck, Gaynor.
Excellent. And the next one down the line is Maureen.
Lovely, Maureen. Let's pick you, Maureen. You keep cropping up, so I've got to pick you, okay? I want to pick your support card. I actually picked you this one ages ago, okay? With you, my God, darling, are you always there for everybody all the time, okay? I want to say to you, be mindful, though, because you give so much that this makes you ill at times, okay? It's almost like you create your own illness because you're just spending your time giving the energy to everyone else. I know that as I talk to you, the spirit world bring in two ladies with you, okay? Now, I feel these would be sisters. Now, I either feel this is either mother and a sister or grandmother and a sister, okay? I know the month of June is significant as I talk to you. I need to give you a Tom or a Thomas in the spirit world as well. And as I'm doing this, the man that suddenly cropped in would have had a stroke problem because I feel like I've lost this use here as I'm talking to you as well, okay? I want to give you all his love, Maureen. I don't know why I want to give you this, but I want to give you green chutney, okay? So I have no idea what it's made of, but I know that it's green chutney. It feels as though it's either like peppers or courgettes, but all I keep seeing green chutney. Want to give it to you. I also want to give you a proper bottle of milk in a glass bottle, not modern day milk, old fashioned milk. I don't know if you connect to some sort of a milkman going in the past, but that's what I want to give to you. Good luck to you on that, my darling. Oh, and a rich tea biscuit I need to give to you as well from somebody.
Our lovely Eddie, best cook in the Midlands.
Oh, let's have a look for lovely Eddie then. Here we go. Eddie, let's pick you one, okay? Picking your harmony card, okay? Now, I know with you, Eddie, at times you've regretted not saying goodbye to a gentleman in the spirit world as I talk to you. He's telling me it's all right, okay? You either got there too late or you arrived and he'd already gone. I want to give you a George link in the spirit world as well. I also want to connect you with a Dave or David link there, okay? I don't know if you're connected to Dave West by any chance, by the way. But it's just, I've just seen his name above you. But I want to give you a David link as well. As I'm doing this also, I need to give you the third month. I need to give you the month of March being very significant. And I want to take you around the beginning of March. So probably somewhere around the sort of 5th, 6th mark for me, okay? And I feel very comfortable with that, Eddie. Don't know why. I want to say to you, either you're using a Ouija board or if not, you're more than capable of doing it and you should be doing it, okay? Good luck to you on that one, sunshine.
Excellent. So I'm always pushing Eddie and saying he is going to be developing a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
He's actually seeing a lot in and around the property as well. So we'll pop back up one there to our David. And anything in and around David?
No, nothing for David.
Okay.
No, he'll be laughing at me for saying that. I know David very well. We have a bit of a joke between us, okay? With David, I want to give him listening card, okay? And I know with you, you have a great ability and affinity to spirit. But my God, will you please listen to what they're telling you, okay? You at times, you're either missing the point with them or they're giving you so much info that I need you to try and slow it down in some sort of way. It's the way that they talk to me as if to say, tell him we're here, that he needs to listen to us, okay? I've got to give you a gentleman's pair of slippers in the spirit world, okay? So a man that's in the spirit world who always wore his slippers. And I want to say he would have wore them until they were falling apart, okay? He would not change them until they literally fell off his feet. I feel as this is a granddad link to your dad, okay, dad's side of the family. I also know I've got a lady that coming through with a cancer link or a cancerous condition on your mum's side of the family for me, okay? I need to give you around the 15th of June sort of time. So look around that period for a birthday or anniversary for me. And all I'm going to say to you is, trust me, within 12 months, you'll be more advanced than what you think you're going to be.
And hopefully we'll see that as well when we're out and about on investigations. That'd be great. And Rosemary, or Rosemary.
Let's have a look for Rosie. Okay, here we go, Rosie. I want to call you Rosie, by the way. I don't know who's calling you Rosie. Answered prayer for you, my darling, okay? Everything is coming together. I know that as I give you that, I've got a lady in the spirit world who would have been very heavily religious, okay? I won't say she would have made out she didn't believe in the afterlife, but my God, she did, okay? I think she had more experiences than what she cared to tell you about in the family. I do feel as though I'm connected down your mother's line here all of a sudden as well. I get a lot of head pressure with you, Rosie. I feel as though you should either be doing an element of trance work or you should be doing something quite intellectual with this, okay? Maybe even look at things like inspirational writing. I've got a lot of head pressure all of a sudden, okay? And I want to also say to you, I know there's a man in the spirit world who would have passed with either some sort of embolism or some sort of brain hemorrhage, okay? And I'll leave you with all his love and all their love. Thank you, Rosie.
I love spirits as well when they give you certain specific information to tie in as well. Moving on to SJ. Any card for her would be fantastic.
Yeah, let's have a look for lovely SJ, okay, and see what's happening. Now, SJ, with you tend to undervalue yourself at times, okay? You've got self-acceptance here, okay? These are lovely cards, by the way. These are just angel cards. Self-acceptance, you know, take what is needed and throw away the rest. If you feel as though people are feeding you a lot of rubbish, don't accept it, okay? Leave it where it is, SJ. I think with you, I would love to see you developing, and I'd love to see you develop your psychic ability and then your mediumship ability, okay? I think with you on a paranormal investigation, you get way too emotional. I think spirit come very close to you, and you could almost end up in a bit of tears or floods of tears, okay? Watch for the month of July into August, either holds a home move or a house move situation for me as well. And I know as I'm doing this, I want to sing the song to you about things will only get better. And I can't remember who sang it now, but things will only get better. Okay. Good luck to you, SJ.
Also around that, as I knew you was going to do some readings, which has been fantastic, I put a couple of packs of cards there. And around SJ there was Guardian Angel. So again, I've just reached to the same pack as well. So that's fantastic. Now, Linda is a relative of mine. So all Linda's asking for a lovely card for her, please.
Let's have a look for lovely Linda then, okay. We seem to have a lot of Wests in this evening. Are we all connected then or what?
She's married into that name.
Don't worry. Linda, I want to say to you, retreat, okay? Sometimes it's about closing the door and telling everybody to leave you alone, my darling, okay? I do feel with you, either your health hasn't been very good lately or you let it get to you too much, all right? Now, I know that as I talk to you now, I've got a mother link in the spirit world. If it's not mother, it must be grandmother. But as she's coming in, my darling, she's talking to me about you and saying, remember that I told you I would never leave. I'll always come back to visit you, okay? Now, there is a connection either to two children or to two sisters here, okay? Because she talks to me about the two. Feel as though wherever she's going with this, I need to say to you, she is watching out over every one of you, and she'll never, ever let go because she always promised you she never would. I don't know if you've got a bracelet that was hers that was given to you or one that she bought you that is yours, but there's something very specific about a bracelet that's still in the family that had to have some connection to her, okay? All my love to you, my darling. You take care.
Thank you for that as well. We are quite close to the end now. If we do this as the last one, I think we've covered as much. There was one question I missed earlier on. It was just it was into the readings. I haven't dispelled that person, so we'll try and get back to that person later on. And they were asking for the information as well. We've got Rosa, is it? Yep.
Yeah, we've got Rosa, lovely Rosa. I'm picking your nature card. You're grounded, you're down to earth, Rosa. You know what you want. I don't know why I want to keep connecting you to Canada as well as I'm talking to you, okay? As I talk to you, there is a gentleman with me that would have fought to the last minute to get his last breath out. He either went over with some sort of bronchial condition or tuberculosis condition, I want to say TB condition. It's something here in my chest as he's talking to me. I know with you that they are coming to you at this moment in time because you're in a moment of need, as they've said it to me. You want to hear a message to let you know that everything's going to be all right and everything's going to get better. I need to tell you that by the time you've hit April, you'll be looking back and smiling and wondering where your life's gone to, okay, in a good way. All right, take care.
Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to say where people can get hold of you? Any books, anything else on the future?
As always, we're always up to something, you know. I mean, people keep nagging me to write books and I just don't get the time. So, you know, it's one of the things we are actively pursuing, but I haven't got very far with it at the moment. You can find us at any sort of wellbeing events. We work a lot with Lizzie in events. We also are director of Pure Spirit events as well. We'll be giving out the Derek Akora Memorial Award at that through Pure Spirit events as well, which has all been agreed with Gwen. Come and see us, come and catch us. We'll be doing events all over the country, so not just in this part of the world. If you do see us, come and say hello, let me know. I probably will look at you as if I don't know you, but if I do, just ignore me, okay? But you can catch us all over social media. Look for Barrie John International Psychic Medium. Come and have a chat with us. Have a look on our website, www.barriejohn.com. And I'm there. We've got some special offers on at the moment. We've got £10 off a half-hour reading with me.
That's excellent. And again, thanks for the time. We are going to lead into, and the next hour is going to be with the lovely Gwen, so I'll be looking and tuning in on that as well. So again, thanks for your time. Again, it's a great cause. Please keep giving to Festival of the Unexplained, to the group that we are supporting is Calm. Again, this helps the man the phone lines and everything like that. You know, it doesn't matter if you haven't got anything to give, just share, and then somebody else might be able to help that's picking up on when you've shared it as well. So again, thanks for your time, young man, and it's been a pleasure. If you could hang on in there, and we'll have a quick couple of minutes when we're done.
All right.
We'll end that on that note as well. So thanks again for your time.
Very welcome. Thanks to everybody, by the way. Take care, look after yourself, and stay safe.